6:03 on Thursday, December 19th. We are at 39 degrees. Look for highs around 45 today with sunshine in the afternoon. Good morning. I'm Michelle Basch.
And I'm John Aaron. As you were hearing, the deadline to avoid a government shutdown is late Friday. And there's a mad scramble in Congress to come up with a new short-term spending plan now that President-elect Trump has called on Republicans to scrap the bill that was agreed to this week. WTOP's Mitchell Miller has more today on the Hill.
President-elect Trump has suddenly injected doubt over what Congress is going to consider. Just a day after a deal was reached on a short-term spending plan, Trump has called on House Speaker Mike Johnson and congressional leaders to draw up a new plan and to incorporate raising the debt ceiling. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries charges that Trump has effectively told the GOP to shut down the government.
House Republicans have now unilaterally decided to break a bipartisan agreement that they made.
On Capitol Hill, Mitchell Miller, WTOP News.
Leaders from Maryland, Virginia, and D.C. are all raising concerns about the collapse of this budget deal. WTOP's Kyle Cooper has the reaction.
Virginia Democratic Congressman Jerry Connolly on X calls it astonishing cowardice and says House Republicans are inept. Congressman Glenn Ivey of Maryland, also a Democrat, had this reaction.
We're deeply disappointed with this. You know, we had a deal that had been hammered out between House and Senate leaders, Republican and Democratic, so it was bipartisan.
The collapse of the bill means the deal to give D.C. control of the RFK site for a possible new Commander Stadium is off, as well as funding to replace the Key Bridge in Baltimore. City Councilman Charles Allen tells 7 News, quote, "We need control over what the future of that RFK site looks like." Kyle Cooper, WTOP News.
AAA predicts nearly 3 million people in our area will be traveling 50 miles or more away from home during this holiday period. That is a more than 2% increase over last year and the second highest on record for end-of-the-year travel. If you're driving, you should see some relief at the gas pump. As of yesterday, the national average was $3.03, down 3 cents from prices a year ago. Maryland and Virginia are averaging under the $3 mark.
It was one of the most snow-filled winters on record in Washington. It was called Snowpocalypse. WTOP's Alan Etter has a look back.
It was our snowiest season on record.
Chief Meteorologist Veronica Johnson remembers December 18th, 2009. Almost an inch and a half of snow fell on D.C., even more than that in the suburbs. The next day, 15 inches fell in the city, up to 2 feet in the suburbs. And then on February 5th and 6th, 2010,
we went from snowpocalypse to snowmageddon,
with another 17 inches falling in the nation's capital.
Dulles got 32.4 inches.
Johnson expects a little over 5 inches to fall on D.C. this winter and was asked why it seems we don't get the big snowfalls anymore.
It's a warming climate for us. It's hard to get the colder conditions that will produce snowfall.
Alan Etter, WTOP News.
An 18-year-old is under arrest in connection with a shooting earlier this week near a D.C. high school. Police say Justice Thomas turned himself in after a teenage girl was shot near Dunbar High on Tuesday. She was walking along Morgan Street just after 3 p.m. when a car approached her. Police say 2 suspects jumped out and tried to rob her at gunpoint. Police say Thomas drove up in a separate car, got out and pulled a gun. That led to gunfire between Thomas and the 2 suspects, they say. During the shooting, the 17-year-old was hit. She was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Coming up on WTOP, news of a huge lottery jackpot. Traffic and weather in 30 seconds.